They told you Africa had no history. But what if I told you? They were hiding something much deeper. A spiritual technology so powerful, it threatened entire empires. Hidden gods, forbidden rituals, secret societies that still exist today. This isn't mythology, it's memory. And what you're about to discover was never meant to be found. They called it primitive. They called it evil. But they never told you why they were afraid of it. African spirituality was never just about chants or rituals. It was a sophisticated system of power, healing, and connection to forces we're only beginning to understand today. When colonizers came to Africa, they didn't just steal land or gold. They stole something far more dangerous to them. Spiritual knowledge. They labeled it witchcraft and barbaric. Not because they didn't understand it, but because they did. These systems governed everything: law, medicine, agriculture, leadership. To control the people, they had to erase the power behind them. But they couldn't destroy it all, so it went underground. Secret societies formed, guardians of the old ways, protectors of rituals, symbols, and sacred knowledge. These groups still exist today, hidden in plain sight. Take the Yoruba people. Their connection to Orishas, divine beings tied to nature and human life, wasn't just spiritual. It was strategic. Each Orisha governed forces like metal, rivers, storms, and fertility. They weren't just worshipped, they were worked with, understood, respected. Some of the most powerful Orisha-based societies still operate in silence, protecting knowledge the outside world was never meant to access. Then there's the Bantu. Their rites of passage weren't just ceremonies. They were initiations into higher awareness, rituals designed to shift perception, unlock ancestral wisdom, and activate spiritual potential. Outsiders were forbidden. This wasn't just culture, it was code. And then there's the Dogon. Long before modern science confirmed it, the Dogon described the orbit, mass, and companion star to Sirius B, without any telescopes. Western astronomers confirmed it in the 1970s. But the Dogon had known it for centuries. How? Their oral tradition says the knowledge came from sky beings known as the Nommo. Mainstream historians call it myth. But when a so-called myth lines up with NASA data, is it really just a story? Many African systems believe the world you see is just one layer. There's a spiritual realm that runs parallel, interacting with, influencing, even controlling this one. Rituals were tools to maintain balance, not superstition. Technology. Think of it like tuning a frequency. If you disconnect from the spirit realm, you lose the signal. You lose clarity, protection, purpose. Colonial powers didn't just erase this, they feared it. Because how do you rule someone who gets guidance from the ancestors? Someone who doesn't need a priest or king to access the divine? You don't. So they demonized it. And in secret, they studied it. European esoteric orders, Rosicrucians, the Golden Dawn, even Freemasonry, began collecting African spiritual symbols and rituals. The pyramid, the all-seeing eye, staffs, serpents. These weren't invented by the West. They were taken, adapted, rebranded. Reincarnation? Not a New Age idea. In many African spiritual systems, the soul is eternal, returning through generations to fulfill a purpose. Ancestors don't disappear. They guide you, speak through dreams, walk beside you. And ceremonies like naming rituals or spiritual baths are how people align with that ancestral energy. And women, they weren't secondary, they were sacred. Priestesses, midwives, diviners, women were leaders in spiritual life. In ancient Kemet, Isis wasn't just a goddess, she was divine wisdom in action. In Yoruba tradition, Oshun governs love, creativity, fertility. These weren't passive figures, they were forces of nature. Even in the Americas, echoes of these systems live on. When enslaved Africans were forced to convert, they didn't abandon their gods, they disguised them. That's how Santeria, Vodou, and Candomblé were born. Ogun became St. George, Yemaya became the Virgin Mary. These weren't coincidences, they were acts of spiritual resistance. So when someone tells you these systems are primitive or dark, they're missing the point. These were advanced spiritual technologies designed to heal, protect, and elevate communities. They weren't rituals for rituals' sake. They were blueprints for how to live in harmony with the universe. Today, a new generation is waking up, digging through the rubble of colonization, reclaiming what was buried, reconnecting to something ancient, vast, and alive. What was whispered in secret groves? What was chanted in moonlit forests? What was passed from priest to priest in silence? Never died. It waited for the right time, for the right people, for you. African spirituality isn't history. It's not a trend. It's not superstition. It's a living archive of power that survived slavery, colonization, demonization. And now it's rising again. So if you feel that pull, that deep curiosity, that's not just interest. That's ancestral memory waking up. Keep digging, keep questioning, keep remembering. Because the next chapter, you're part of it.